Oh, John, it is finally time. It is March. It is mid-March actually. The March Madness thing is kind of March into April, but we'll say March Madness right now, and it's time. We are going to jump into one of our favorite pods of the year, which is the March Madness bracket prediction pod. We always get our winner eliminated in the first round. It's just a natural thing. Last year, I know year one it was Arizona, the 2 seed, losing to the 15. What was last year's that we had? I don't remember exactly.
St. John's.
Oh yeah, we had St. John's.
We were all in on the Johnny, dude. We got hosed.
We love a 2 seed. We love a 2 seed in our predictions. But yeah, we do.
Basic.
Yeah, we get hosed every single time, but we're going to do it again. We're going to try our best. So today we are not going to talk a ton of Seattle sports. Obviously, Gonzaga, one of our teams is in the tournament, so there's going to be a little bit of a focus there when we get to that bracket. But before we get really into the weeds, we are going to run a little bit of Coyote Picnic for those of you listening to the pod, and we are also live on YouTube, so check us out there if you are listening to the pod and want to see our reactions and our discussions and our beautiful faces. John, anything to say before we get going?
God, we look good, man. Great day to do this. Great day to look this good. Let's pull the trigger.
We do. I'm wearing a white shirt, and the sun is reflecting off of it, so it's just shining into my face. It's great.
I feel best. I love it.
All right, well, here is some Coyote Picnic for the podcast listeners. Let's keep it going on YouTube. Okay. How we are doing this, John, do you want to break it down? Do you want me to break it down? It's pretty simple.
Yeah, very simple. We're breaking it up by region. I'm taking the East and the South, also known as the left side of your bracket if you're looking at it, and Tyler's taking the West and the Midwest. Gonna just, give our justifications, give our picks. The other person, obviously, can chime in and either agree or disagree, but ultimately, we each get to pick our regions as we build towards the championship game. The only game where we'll really have to argue it out and decide on is both our prospective champions.
Yes, and Final Four, how we get there. I think we should talk through those games once we get to that point. But Elite Eights will be decided by each of us individually.
When I'm taking Siena to the Elite Eight, you have to let me.
Fuck. All right. You wanna start us off here with the Duke versus Siena matchup in the East?
I do. This one will be quick. These always take longer than we remember them taking. This is not the 16 seed that is going to upset the 1 seed. Siena has lost 11 games playing in a very bad conference. Duke gets all the whistles, as their 2 losses can attest. They're a very, very good 1 seed, but they also have gotten some very favorable zebra approaches, and this is not going to go down like that. Give me Duke.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I don't really have anything else to add there. Siena, lovely season. Great job by you guys. Duke is a top 4 team in the nation for a reason. That's it.
Yeah, now it's your turn. Or am I just doing
I was
region?
I was just going to let you go. I think we go region by region.
Oh, okay. Yeah, perfect. I was like, what is this guy doing? Dead air. Dead air alert. Okay. Good. Okay. A really good game. Ohio State TCU. We got the Horned Frogs versus whatever Ohio State is, the Buckeyes. Fuck those guys. Give me TCU. I love Texas colleges come tournament time, and either one of these teams, spoiler alert, I'm going to have getting smacked in the next round. So not a big one, so give me the upset. Any issues with that?
The big thing is Bruce Thornton is kind of the big guy in this game. Ohio State he's their leading scorer, scoring over 20 points a game. Ohio State is projected to win, but this is kind of a popular upset matchup. I think a lot of people are keen on TCU. There's some ball control aspects, and I think the other side of this that we might get into a little bit here is just guard play is kind of the winner take all situation in the tournament. I think, in my opinion, we might differ on that, but I think TCU has better guards, so I kind of like the upset there.
Totally. It's also 8-9. We're not in an upset range yet.
Not a real upset.
Let me cook. We'll get there. Next up, I'm sorry, I forgot it was me again. St. John's against Northern Iowa in the 5-12. This St. John's team is very flawed, but there's no way that they're going to be this highly seeded in 2 straight tournaments and not win a couple of games. There are just too many fans in New York that are going to jump off buildings in Manhattan if that happens. So looking out for the street sweepers, and I'm taking St. John's over Northern Iowa.
Yeah, St. John's a little, I guess you would say underseeded. I think they're better than a 5 seed, and they have been for most of the year. Coming out of the Big East, where the Big East, everybody has been talking about that, is the most, I guess not overrated conference, but it is a conference that is much weaker than it has been in previous years. So there's a little bit of question there, but UNI is known to slow the game down, and St. John's is known to just throw the game into a weird ruckus, is how I would call it. So we'll see which kind of style prevails there, but I do like St. John's over Northern Iowa. They just are able to score more, play a little faster. We'll see if the shooting comes to haunt them eventually, but I like them there.
Yeah. The tough thing about them is that they have a tendency to beat all the good teams they play, but then they have 6 losses, which should tell you about something how they did against more mid teams.
Yep.
So they're a scary one. I think there are people out there that are going to pick the upset, 12-5, just because St. John's can be so night to night. But I'm trying to build to something fun here in the second round, and that's not going to be Northern Iowa.
I just want to highlight real quick. They lost to UConn 72-40 at one point this year, and their other losses have been like Alabama, Iowa State, Auburn, Kentucky. Like, these are all good teams. I don't think Northern Iowa is up to that level yet.
Yes, well said. Kansas, Cal Baptist. I know this is pretty chalk so far, but I'm doing most of my good work in the later rounds. I'm going to take Kansas over Cal. They have the best guard in the country. I do agree with you that having at least one great guard is the most important thing a tournament team can have. Part of the reason I'm a little bit worried about my Zags, but we'll get there. I think Darren Peterson has been loafing his way through the season, but I expect him to actually put on kind of a show. It would be pretty hilarious if he sat out any games, but I'm not anticipating it. So give me Kansas.
If he was going to sit out a game, this would be the game. Kansas is going to go up 20, and he's going to be like, let me take a breather, get ready for that St. John's game. But I kind of feel like he's the type of player that wants to put on a show, and this is the perfect stage to do so. So I kind of expect him and Kansas to have a little bit more of a showing than they have throughout the course of the season with the differences. But Kansas over Cal Baptist I think is a free take there.
Nice. Moving down into the second section of the East, I am picking my first more real upset, which is South Florida over Louisville, the 11 over the 6. I haven't watched much Louisville or South Florida basketball this year, but I just think Louisville's pretty overrated. There's been a lot of talk about them this year. They've kind of just fallen in the rankings over the course of the season. Pretty mid-schedule. I did see USF win their conference tournament, which is always fun. I'm taking an 11 seed with 2 less losses. Yeah,
my real concern, and this is going to get into how teams take these kind of situations, is that everybody and their mother has USF. Everybody and their mother has USF beating Louisville. And so Louisville's kind of the little bit of a nobody believes in us matchup right now, where it's like, oh, okay, you guys all think we're going to lose. This is a 6 versus 11 matchup. Like, we can turn this on. So 2 over 18 points per game scorers on Louisville's team. They're a good team. This is a matchup that in my main bracket I did pick as well. I think USF is good enough to get the win here, but might be a little bit tighter of a matchup than we expect. And Louisville, don't be surprised, I guess, if Louisville pulls that out and they're like, put some respect on our name type stuff.
And you know what? I'm totally with you, and this is a very chalk upset pick. I need it, man. I need it. You'll see here in a minute. I'm going to do some really good work. People are going to doubt when I get through this first round in the East. They're going to say, John, this is boring as hell. I'm going to do some good stuff. Just be a little bit patient with me is what I'm going to say. So moving on, I am taking USF. Good call on the chalk. But Michigan State, North Dakota State, I am taking Michigan State. Big Ten basketball is very good this year. That is the theme of all the brackets that I've done, is I'm a big believer in the top 5 teams in the Big Ten. I just think it's a really, really strong college basketball conference, kind of the anti-SEC. One note quick, isn't it hilarious we're getting the same SEC stuff we got last year? Do you remember when they broke the record for most teams to make a tournament, and then almost all of them lost in the first round?
Yeah. It's one of those things where I was reading, is it Jay Billis who does does bracketology, and he's just like, yeah, I'm an SEC guy, but I don't really think I have any bias when it comes to this. And it's like, you're just wrong. Like that's not a true statement that you're saying right now.
Yeah, Joe Lunardi. No, he definitely has some favoritism.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious too, because it was literally a joke last year how horribly they did in the tournament, and there's been zero adjustment to it. And it's still, it's a bunch of tough games. So we'll see. But anyway, Michigan State, I do believe in the Big Ten. Give me the 3 seed. Moving on to the 7-10. UCLA is the scariest 7 seed in the field, in my opinion, going up against who are they even playing? UCF, Central
UCF.
Florida. I think they're really, really good. What they were able to do in the Big Ten tournament was really fun, and they did most of it without Tyler Bilodeau, who is their kind of Kevin Love type. I guess in UCLA, that's ironic, but
Yeah.
really a Kevin Love type, 3-point shooting, great rebounding, big. They did almost all their work without him, making it all the way to the championship. He's coming back for the tournament. They played the Zags very, very hard, gave us one of our biggest scares of the year. Better than Portland. And yeah, I just think they're great, so I'm taking them.
Yeah, I think UCLA. There's a question of if Donovan Dent's going to be able to play, but if he does, like this is a team that probably is top 25 caliber. I agree with you that if their team is fully healthy, this is actually a pretty scary 7 seed overall. Like they're a pretty good team, and I think
Yes.
there's a question of if he plays the first game, but I think he will at the very least if they win that first one, he'll be there for the second one. So
And
that's kind of
again, they were playing Purdue tight without him. I don't think they need him to get past USF. They will need him in later rounds.
Yep.
Okay, moving down to the last first game in the East. We got UConn Furman. I am taking UConn over Furman. I don't know a single player on Furman. I can't tell you where Furman is. So this is just blatant disrespect and disregard by me. To all the Furman grads listening, I'm sorry. But I just don't know what to tell you.
Furman hasn't played anybody big, and the other teams that are in the tournament, like Troy and Northern Iowa and High Point, they've all lost to. So I think of all of those teams, it's just not looking great for Furman. They went 22-11 on the year, or 22-12. I'm sorry, but they were a seed that was actually a little frisky a couple years back, but I wouldn't expect them to be anything this year. I think UConn takes this one pretty handily as well.
Yeah. So now it should become clear why I needed that USF pick. I picked chalk games seed-wise, except for a 9 over an 8 and an 11 over a 6. But again, good things coming. So, Tyler, am I going all the way to the Final Four with the East and then we move on, or how are we doing this?
I kind of like the idea of going round by round. So round of 64, and we'll go that way. So I can take the next set. All right. In the West, our first matchup, Arizona versus Long Island, that has been decided. I believe that was the other game that was the 16 matchup that was decided earlier yesterday. This is an Arizona win. Arizona has looked very, very good all year. The Arizona, to me, is one of the scariest teams in the tournament because of their super strong guard play and their ability to rebound. They're just a really good tournament-style team. They're a team that can win the tournament, I think, with all of their pieces. We've said that before about Arizona. We'll see if we stay true to it, but for now, I like the 1 over the 16.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that Arizona is the best team in the nation. With the injuries in particular that Duke and Michigan are both dealing with, I think that kind of caps their ceiling to a certain degree. If you take any of them to win the championship, that's not crazy. But Arizona is so balanced and so good.
Yep.
I've made 4 money brackets this year in various groups. I had Arizona winning 2 of them. Then I had them winning a third one, and I had to be like, wait, I got to diversify here and pull myself back. But yeah, they are my favorite team in this year's bracket.
I also think their path, like the West as a whole, is not nearly as scary as like the East per se or something like that. So
Absolutely. The West is favorable, and even having Duke and Florida on the other side as the other 2 1 seeds, getting Michigan, again, a hurt Michigan, is a favorable outcome for AZ. They definitely have the easiest region and the easiest route.
yeah. Okay, looking at the next game, we have Villanova versus Utah State. This is actually an interesting 8-9 matchup because Utah State is, according to the odds in the books, favored. It's -1.5 in favor of Utah State. And I think the reason for that would be that Villanova is 0-5 against top 25 teams on the year out of the Big East. So they were playing, their top 25 teams were UConn and St. John's and teams that are pretty high caliber here. So there's a question of, okay, was Villanova, were the teams that they were playing that much better than Utah State? And like maybe they're now being the discounted team that I referenced when, we talked about Louisville. But I think Utah State is just kind of better. Their ceiling is a little bit higher. MJ Collins Jr. and Mason Falslev are scoring 16 and over 17.5 points a game. So they're just a solid, scoring offense. I like Utah State here. Probably the lone, is that the lone Mountain West, or at least the highest seeded Mountain West team for now. I think they're going to be pretty good. I have Utah State winning this game.
Yeah, I believe they're the only one on cursory glance. I know San Diego State didn't make the tournament this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, there's no cheaper way to get clout than picking the nines over the eights because it still counts as an upset, baby.
Yep.
Also, screw Villanova. So, love it.
All right, this next game, number 5 Wisconsin versus number 12 High Point. And let me tell you, Wisconsin, UW played them in the Big Ten tournament, so I kind of watched and followed along with their game. They have a couple guys who can really turn it on scoring-wise, especially their guard play is really good. But High Point has a couple guys who are really, really solid. They have Terry Anderson, who's a 16-point-per-game guard who just looks really nice, also rebounds a lot, or I guess he's more of a forward style. Rob Martin, 15 points per game, 3.7 assists. I think High Point is one of those 12 seeds that really has a chance to upset a 5. There's, I think the 5-12 matchups this year have just really interesting situations because High Point has the guard play to really feel like they can turn it on at any given time and win any sort of game here. Unfortunately, they haven't played anybody really of note. They're 30-4 on the year. Wisconsin 24-10. It's a little questionable. High Point scoring 90 points a game and only allowing 70, but they haven't really played anybody tough. I lean Wisconsin here, but it wouldn't shock me if High Point won. You know what? Let's go High Point. I'm taking High Point.
Oh, you dog. I love it. I love that pick. Wisconsin's a good team, but these are the kind of upsets we need to keep traction going until I start to cook in the Sweet 16. No, this is great. There's a really good stat. Non-Power 5 teams do not have a good winning track record in the tournament in general, but if they've lost more than 6 games going into the tournament, their record is abysmal. Like just a couple examples of wins in tournament history.
Yeah.
If they can clear that mark, 5 or less losses on a year, that number jumps by several orders of magnitude in terms of chance to win. So that gives you, in a year like this, that's McNeese, it's High Point, it's Kennesaw State, I believe, only has 3 losses. It's teams like that. The Billikens, I think, have 5.
Yeah.
So, again, not great odds, but significantly better. That's why we're not taking Sienna's with 11 losses. It's a good little indicator. So, I like that pick.
Yeah, teams that got hot in their conference tournament and just ended up sneaking a bid in, not as likely to win as teams that were good throughout the course of the year, just foundationally. So,
aren't I a genius for noticing these things? It's this kind of analytical brain that gets me places.
All right, looking at this Arkansas versus Hawaii matchup. Hawaii actually pretty good year, 24-8. Arkansas 26-8. However, Arkansas has Darius Acuff Jr., one of the highly touted prospects, really good freshman who is able to control the game really well. I have Arkansas winning this game. Hawaii is pretty good at defense, so there's a world where Arkansas is held back if somebody can find a good matchup against Acuff. But I have Arkansas winning that one first round.
Is Hawaii technically in the Mountain West?
I don't think so. I think they're
in some other division.
They're in something else. Let me.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious.
Are they in like the WAC or something like that? Because they played all the UC teams. Is that what it is?
That makes sense.
The Western Athletic Conference.
This is tough. Hawaii is always one of my favorite upset picks when they make the tournament. The Rainbow Warriors are just far and away the coolest mascot in sports, and we all know what a big factor that is. I love taking them to the Sweet 16. But to your point, guard play is so important, and Arkansas, I said earlier that Kansas had the best guard in the tournament. They have the best NBA guard in the tournament. Arkansas has the best college guard in this tournament in Acuff. Hard to pick against him.
Yeah. All right, looking at BYU versus Texas. This is an interesting matchup. Texas was able to get the win yesterday, and so there's some heat coming from them. People have really liked them going up against a BYU team that is a little bit riddled with injuries overall. BYU minus 2.5 in this game right now in terms of who's favored. Debansa versus the Texas, kind of length of them is going to be very interesting. But I think, looking at this BYU team, looking at this Texas team and who they've played against, I think both teams have shown a capacity to win against good teams. So give me the best player. Give me the best player to win this game, and I have AJ Debansa carrying his team past Texas in this one.
Yeah, I like Debansa a lot. I like BYU a lot. We'll talk about the Zags here in a bit, but in quite a few of my brackets, I have BYU upsetting the Zags in the second round and then getting even further into the tournament. Obviously, that goes against my heart, but I just think they've got a lot of star power, and he's just the tear he's been on, man. You just see the NBA scoring talent pouring out of his big frame.
Yep.
Scares the crap out of me. And screw the SEC, so this is kind of a double whammy.
Oh yeah. And sorry, let me make sure. Texas 19-14 makes the tournament. So we just have to note that.
Well, at least Auburn didn't make it. Christ.
All right, up next we got a matchup: Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State, and this one I don't think I'm going to upset John here by going with Gonzaga. I think that's a safe pick. Gonzaga defensively, probably like you said, one of their best teams so far. We've talked about them all year, and I have Gonzaga at least winning this round. We'll talk about the next round later.
Terrified of those 3 losses next to Kennesaw State, but not a lot of talent on that team. The conference they play in is pretty weak. A lot of people like the Zags this year, which always scares me a little bit. But there's also that sweet spot of like I watched a lot of this team, and maybe I'm just kind of desensitized a little bit. Maybe they do go on a crazy run. Maybe this is the year Few gets his first one as the 3 seed. But we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Next matchup, we've got number 7 Miami versus number 10 Missouri, and this is actually an interesting one. I think a lot of people have gone either way. As you can see, ESPN has these, it's 5 million people have had Missouri winning, 7 million people, I guess almost 8 have Miami winning. It's a close matchup here. Miami is favored by 2.5 points. Overall on the year, Miami has kind of petered out, and Missouri kind of had a little bit of a resurgence late, is from what I understand. But between both of these teams, Miami is just better defensively. In terms of their BPI rank, they're kind of net even. So there's not really anything that would indicate to me you should take one team over the other. So I just would take the non-SEC team personally. I'm anti-SEC, so I'm going Miami here.
I love it. I love going anti-SEC. I do love that Miami has Florida in brackets next to it because Ohio came and spoiled the party. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, anything I can do to pick against. I do think this is we need to look at this as an opportunity, not only in our brackets, but in our bets, to punish the committee for continuing to let all these crappy SEC teams sneak into the tournament.
Yep.
We've been doing it. Let's keep doing it. Love Miami.
All right, and then last and certainly not least, we've got Purdue versus Queens, and that one I don't really think I have to say that much. Purdue coming off a 27-8 season where they just won the Big Ten tournament. Queens is actually this is their first season in Division I basketball, or maybe it's their third, but they just started Division I basketball very, very recently, and I don't think they get their first tournament win this year. I think Purdue takes that win.
Sorry, Queens. All right, moving on to the South. I like that we're giving each other's voices a little bit of a break. This is good.
Yeah, I'm going to go fix this window, but you talk about it.
Yeah, the Florida game's going to be interesting. All right, we got Florida versus the winner of Lehigh and Prairie View. This is not going to be a very interesting game. We don't even necessarily know who Florida's opponent is yet, but either Lehigh or Prairie View, I don't really respect against the best team in the SEC this year by a mile, and that is Florida. It would be amazing. It would be so amazing if the second 1 seed ever to fall was the best team in the SEC this year. That would bring me a lot of joy, but I just can't see it happening, so I'm taking Florida.
Yeah, I agree.
I think something you'll find, I'm not sure if we'll have any 15 over 2 seeds upsets in the first round, or obviously 16 over 1s. I guess we'll see what you do in your last section. But it's just, those aren't the upsets I like to pick. They're so rare, and you feel like a genius when you hit them, but they just really don't happen at a frequency that rewards you for picking them. So
No.
don't at me. Okay, next up we've got Clemson versus Iowa, an ACC Big Ten matchup for the gods. Yeah, Iowa's good, man. They had a nice tournament in the Big Ten tournament. Clemson, to be honest with you, I just don't know much about. But I'm going to lean on my Big Ten backing. I'm going to lean on my ACC and SEC disrespect, and I'm going to get a little bit of clout for picking the 9th seed.
Yeah, a lot of people have picked the 9 seed. They're currently the Iowa Hawkeyes have been picked more than the Clemson Tigers. They are minus 1.5, right? Or they opened minus 1.5. They're now -2 in terms of the betting favorites. So that all instincts are pointing to Iowa here, and that 9 seed winning. The one thing that I will say, Iowa is 1-8 versus top 25 teams this year. Clemson is 3-5. Clemson did better in the ACC than Iowa did in the Big Ten, so that might give you a little bit of information. Clemson plays slow. Iowa has Bennett Sturts, so Bennett Sturts is kind of their big guy. He scores 20 points a game. But Clemson, if they can slow him down, that's where I think this game could be a little tricky. I look for this one to be messy, and look for Bennett Sturts to maybe score like 25 points for Iowa and it to still be very, very close. So I respect the Iowa pick. I'll let you have it, but that is one that I'm going to plant a little bit of a flag in and say, hey, this one could go the other way.
Look at this guy. Look at this analysis. That's great. I couldn't name a single Iowa player, so he did better than I did. But it's my side of the bracket.
That's why I'm letting you have it.
You've got the last chance to pick an 8 seed over a 9 seed in that Georgia St. Louis game. We'll see. We'll see what you ponder on that one. Next up, we got Vanderbilt, McNeese, and here's going to be where I make a little bit of noise. McNeese is clearing that 5-win margin for our lower conference teams. Vandy is an SEC team that everybody's obsessed with because of their tournament run, which, to be fair, was very impressive. But this is, just a fun opportunity to pick an upset from a high-scoring McNeese team and throw a little disrespect on the SEC at the same time. Odds, not fantastic, but also screw you.
This is one of those games that if you've got Vandy winning this one, you might have them winning like a few rounds because you believe in Vanderbilt. And I think Vanderbilt is pretty good. Their guard play has been really nice in the tournament. But McNeese is a team with experience, right? They were here last year. They won a couple tournament games last year. And being 28-5 on the year is pretty good. They are allowing only 66.5 points per game versus Vanderbilt's 75.5 points allowed. I can get behind this. Like McNeese has kind of the age and the relevancy from last year to make an upset happen here, and I like it. I'm a fan.
Love it. Moving on next, I'm gonna go a little more chalk here. Troy at 22-11 is failing our test, coming up short on the loss column. Going up against a Nebraska team 26-6, really strong in Big Ten play. They're a 4 seed because they kind of stumbled down the home stretch a little bit.
6-6 in their last 12.
Yeah, but they were one of the last undefeated teams in college basketball. I expect a return to form for what was one of the best offenses in college basketball. I think Nebraska is a very, very scary tournament team.
Interesting. A lot of people are kind of like iffy on Nebraska only because they have stumbled late down the stretch. But this Troy team, like you said, 22-11, they kind of snuck their way in. And the only way I could see them winning is if they hit their shots, which they are capable of. As a team, they actually shoot the ball pretty well on the year. But all that being said, I think Nebraska's as good an opportunity for a safe pick there as you can get.
And the nice thing is, you'll see, I picked McNice a second ago, setting up a little bit of a launching pad for Nebraska to get the wheels churning for a deep run.
We'll see. Not a lot of people have Nebraska on a deep run. If they got this win, this would be their first ever NCAA tournament win. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and see what I'm doing here? We're giving you this unique content. I'm not here to tell you what everybody else is doing, except for all my other chalk picks. Moving on to North Carolina, VCU. This may be the single most predictive upset in terms of everybody is just on the same page with VCU over UNC. Doesn't really matter, to be honest with you, for my purposes, because I like Illinois. I'll just say at the 3 seed next. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to give this one to you, Tyler. Do we go chalk upset 11 seed over 6, or do you want to roll with the Tar Heels?
I roll with no. You know what? I think VCU. This is a first-year head coach at VCU, or not first-year head coach, but it's his first year at VCU. So I think there's a little bit of hype coming into the tournament here for this guy and his team. I like VCU there over North Carolina, who lost their best player in Caleb Wilson. I think that's one of those fun matchups that could go either way, and you could see a fun story developing at VCU for a first-year head coach at that school.
Yeah, maybe the two most favorite big upsets of the tournament are VCU over UNC and Hofstra over Alabama, both because of key losses to players.
Yep.
But, sometimes it's fun to be part of the pack,
I like riding the wave.
Right. Yeah, it's good. It's good up top. Catch 'em air. Next up, we've got 3 seed Illinois against 18-11 Penn. Not Penn State, but Penn. As much as I love my Ivy League scholars, Illinois is another awesome Big Ten team. I do believe they technically have the best offense in the country by advanced metrics. Them and Nebraska I actually think are very similar. Heck, Nebraska has 2 fewer losses than Illinois, but Illinois had a slightly harder schedule, and they did the opposite. They kind of picked up traction as the year went on. So
yep.
I think people see those two teams very differently. I don't. I'm very scared of them both. I really like Illinois.
I do too, man. Penn State sneaks in, winning the Ivy League tournament at 18-11 on the year. So not the best season, and I don't think their brains are going to get them the win here against a really, really talented Illinois team. Yeah, I got Illinois winning that one too.
Do the math on this one. All right, next up we got A&M versus St. Mary's. 7 seed St. Mary's versus 10 seed A&M. Now, I'm so torn here. I do not believe St. Mary's can win this game. I just don't think they're that good. At the same time, A&M is an SEC team, and I would love to dunk on them. So it's like the ultimate, the conference, my WCC. Last year as a WCC member, I want to have a ton of success in the WCC. I want to advance St. Mary's. I want to disrespect the SEC, but I just can't believe in St. Mary's. Help me out. Convince me. I'm dangling on this fence.
I got you. So St. Mary's 27-5 on the year, Texas A&M 21-11. So really not that great of a year by SEC terms. Well, I guess that is a great year by SEC terms, according to how everybody thinks about them.
Bro, the hypothetical matchups are unreal for this team.
It's crazy. So St. Mary's splitting the season series with both Gonzaga and Santa Clara. They did lose to Vanderbilt by 25, which is a little unfortunate there because that makes them look a little worse. It was at Vanderbilt, though. They do have a good odds prediction to win. They just overall are able to slow the game down more. They've got the best scorer there with the 18 points per, or almost 19 points per game in Morauskas. I think St. Mary's is a little different than how we kind of remember them as the low and slow, like keep the game at their pace. They kind of have changed their style of play a little bit, but they are holding opponents to below 65 points a game. Texas A&M also 0-4 against top 25 opponents. They really haven't been able to beat anybody good, and I think St. Mary's is good. I think at a baseline, St. Mary's is a top 30 team.
Thank you. Bless you. That's really what I wanted to hear, but I couldn't do it based on my own logic. So I appreciate that. We're advancing the Gales. WCC 2-0 in the first round so far.
Let's
Love
go.
to see it.
Let's go.
And just the utter disrespect to the SEC. There's a chance. Who do we have? Miami, Purdue, Zagsby. I guess Arkansas we have advancing in the first round, and Florida. I think we may have skunked every other SEC team to this point. Which, good work by us.
Screw them.
Good work by us. Yeah, dude, that's hilarious. 21-11. That's a great record in the SEC, dude. That's like 8 wins better than the first 4 outs. Auburn team. That's elite stuff. Okay, last but not least, we have the Houston Cougars going up against the Idaho Vandals. Again, I would love to see the Idaho go vandalizing against this Big 12 juggernaut, Houston. But I think Houston's a dog. I think they're really, really good. Idaho's not ready for what's coming.
No, they just are not. I think Houston's going to win this one by a mile. They're favored by 23.5 points, and it wouldn't surprise me if this was a 90-60 game. So Houston winning that one is not a surprise to me. All right, moving to the Big West. Got to finish the first round here, and then we're into the real round of 32 Sweet 16 range. So with my first game, we've got Michigan versus Howard, and I'm not going to surprise anybody here. Michigan will move on. Howard, I love their mascot, but other than that, they are a very, very, very average mid-major team. Sorry you got matched up against Michigan, but Michigan has been so good. Give their good guys a little bit of time to rest with their injuries, but Michigan has been so good all year. I'm not going to let them lose to a 16 seed.
100%. Yeah, again, Michigan, in my mind, was the best team this season. Arizona's my favorite. They're certainly the best now. Michigan has lost L.J. Carson with the torn ACL. Winters Grady is out with an undisclosed injury, but he's not expected to return for the year. Yaxel Lendenberg is expected to play, but he's got an ankle sprain, so we'll see how much or if he can participate. These are pretty key injuries, particularly Carson and Lendenberg for this Michigan lineup. We may see that come into play in the later rounds. It's your side of the bracket. But them getting over the hump here with Howard is I think, a no-brainer for a team that, again, when fully healthy, was the scariest team in the league in my mind.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, next matchup, another bit of a scary matchup. We do have an SEC team in UGA, 22-10, another really insane record, making it into the tournament here, versus St. Louis University, the 28-5 Billikens. I love me some Robbie Avila. I love me some Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
You gotta do it, man. You're in St. Louis right now.
I do. I'm going to do it. I think this is the kind of game that the SEC is terrified of. There's a reason they didn't play any top 25 teams this year. St. Louis didn't, and it's because everybody was terrified of them, and it was for a reason. Robbie Avila and the Billikens moving on. I got the 9 seed. All 9 seeds winning the first round.
All 9 seeds, baby. That's how you know we're a real fucking show. This is how you do it. You pick all the 9 seeds, and then you call yourself underdog. I love that. Screw Georgia. I actually think Georgia's pretty good. Their guards are really fast. But this is just great. I love this for a lot of reasons. Billy's cleared that 5-loss mark for the lower conference teams. Advance the Billies. Let's go.
All right, next up we've got Akron Zips versus the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech favored in this game by 10.5 at the start. Now it's moved to -7.5. JT Toppin is not questionable, but there's a little bit of a concern about his injury status. He's a 21 points per, almost 22 points per game scorer for Texas Tech. Also, Akron has just been like pretty good on the year. Like I said, 29-5. Like that's a good team overall. They are a team that has the ability to shoot and score the basketball at a high rate. 17-1 in their conference. I think they're really, really good. They, like I said, they almost average up to 90 points there on the season. However, Texas Tech, I will give some leeway to the Big 12 here, and I'll give Texas Tech the win. However, I will say in some other brackets, I do have Akron winning, and I think they're a kind of a darling Cinderella. But I think we need to have at least one or at least 2 5 seeds winning these games.
Man, you're breaking my heart. You were getting me so pumped there. It's like, oh, he's taking the Billies and Akron back to back. Like, any town that can produce LeBron James and Steph Curry's got to be able to generate a good college basketball team. But no, I think that's very reasonable. To be honest with you, part of the reason I took my side of the bracket and gave Tyler his is I wanted to be impartial with Gonzaga. I just wanted to separate myself from that. And then this Midwest region is like heroin for me. I can't stop myself from thinking the number of brackets that I have St. Louis, Akron, Hofstra winning, and then have like Santa Clara making it to like the Elite Eight. I just cannot stop myself with the Midwest. So I had to hand it off.
No, the Midwest is crazy because it's like Virginia being a 3 seed. I haven't heard a single thing about Virginia all season.
People think Virginia's good, and they are not.
Now, there is a lot of discussion about this Alabama team right now because their second leading scorer got caught with 2.1 pounds of marijuana in his apartment, just under the legal limit to be sentenced to 10 years in prison. So there was definitely some stuff going on there. Have to shout that out. However, Alabama as a number 4 seed versus Hofstra. This is, like John said, a highly touted upset pick, but there's a reason Alabama's in this tournament. They've been super highly scoring all year. And they're just a good team, right? Their best player is what's his name? LeBaron Philon Jr. He looked so good against Gonzaga in that game that they played. He just ran out of energy. That was early on in the season, so we'll see how that goes. Hofstra does have Cruz Davis, 20-point per game scorer. However, I'm going to go with Alabama here. They're just going to try and rain threes. They're going to shoot infinite threes, and I have them winning this game.
I like Alabama a lot. I'm obviously a bummer about the 2 pounds of weed. Should have taken a lesson from these Georgia guys. The police can't find anything in your trunk if you wrap your car around a telephone pole going 100 miles an hour. So a little bit of a missed opportunity there. Yeah, tough one for Hofstra, but Bam is good. And I do think they're a team that's really deep at guard. And it's a big loss, but they're treating it like there's nobody ready to step up.
Yeah.
I think it could be one of those situations where you'd be surprised how competent they're going to be even with that loss.
Yeah, and they've been practicing since the arrest happened, before the weekend even, I think is when it happened. So they've had a few days to kind of get everything sorted.
We're talking about SEC playoff sports. I'm pretty sure he has not been officially ruled out for the tournament.
That's true.
They
will
pull whatever strings they can, and dude, crazier stuff has happened with SEC sports, man. I swear to God. Worth remembering that Stefon Diggs just played in the Super Bowl with an assault arrest waiting for him after the game.
That was true, yeah.
No, you can play this one first. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see if they ever fix the professional athletes getting by with things for a little too long. But anyways, that's a discussion for another day.
Some things are more important than ethics, Tyler.
All right, I've got Tennessee versus the winner of Miami, Ohio, and SMU, which plays tonight. That is at 8:15, I believe, Central Time, so 6:15 Pacific. In what will be a lovely, lovely story, Miami, Ohio will win this game, and they will advance to the round of 64, only to lose to Tennessee. Tennessee is one of the teams that I think has actually been is an SEC team that I think has actually played against good teams, and they have some really good quality wins against teams like Florida. They have wins against Vanderbilt. Like all of the top SEC teams have all lost to Tennessee. There's a world where they don't win this one, but I think SMU is a good level of test for Miami, Ohio. I think Tennessee is just too much.
That bums me out, man. I'm not gonna fight you too hard on this one. Obviously, a little SEC love I hate to see. Back-to-back SEC picks by you is horrendous work.
This is just us bashing the SEC the entire time we've been doing this pod.
Well, I'm actually glad you're picking a couple. I was a little worried that we were going to go all SEC losses, and then this was going to be the year the SEC actually steps up in the tournament. So we're hedging our bets a little bit on that. The only reason I disagree with this pick is because Lehigh Prairie Views are 16s that have yet to play. Both those teams are jokes. SMU, Miami, Ohio, I kind of love both those teams. And it's kind of like right now when you're picking, it's kind of like you get both against Tennessee. It's like, oh, SMU and Miami, Ohio against Tennessee? Give me those guys.
What this game is this is the thing that represents what everybody is fighting for when it comes to mid-majors and their support in the rest of the tournament. It's like, hey, this mid-major was undefeated on the year until they lost their first game in their conference tournament. If they don't win against SMU, and then if they don't beat Tennessee, this is going to be the SEC being like, see, we should be ranked here, and then it's just going to keep continuing. So I would love for Miami, Ohio to win this game. It worries me, it worries me that they won't, and that will just give them more reason.
I like that emotional hedge. That is an excellent point. This is a battle for the soul of our sport. Miami, Ohio making like a Sweet 16 run would be fantastic for the sport.
Yes.
Hope everybody's rooting for it, but I like the hedging your bets there. That's smart.
Yeah. Okay, next game, Virginia versus Wright State. I'm gonna take an easy swig here and go for Virginia. They are 29-5 on the year. Just a sneaky ACC, really solid team. Nobody really amazing from their team in terms of scoring or anything like that, but they do it right. They are scoring 80 points per game. This isn't a keep it slow Virginia team. So I'm gonna take Virginia here as just kind of an averagely good college basketball team over Wright State.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I would love to pick against Virginia. I don't think they're good this year. They have one of the weirdest records of being like way over-regarded going into the tournament.
Yeah.
Obviously, going back to them being the first 1 seed to ever blow it against a 16 seed. You know what's funny? I just saw highlights of that game. Mm-hmm. I forgot. They didn't just lose.
They got blown out.
20.
Yeah.
They got wrecked. That was great. I really am sad that they won the Natty the next year because it kind of wiped away the shame of that. And that shame should live forever. So I'm not going to let it die.
Yep.
But anyway, Wright State's not very good, so I appreciate the thought.
Yep. All right. I have currently gone pretty chalk in this one. The only upset I have is St. Louis beating Georgia, and this is where we get a little crazy. Kentucky versus Santa Clara. Otega Oweh is Kentucky's best player. He's been scoring over 18 points per game, and it's questionable whether he's going to play in this one. Santa Clara is currently Kentucky's currently only favored by 1.5. And Santa Clara, we've seen it. Gonzaga saw it. They lost to they played a couple close games. Did they lose to Santa Clara? There was a close one that I think happened.
No, very close in the WCC championship game.
That's what it was.
Zags did pull it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were responsible for 2 of Santa Clara's losses. They were both good games.
Yes, yeah. Santa Clara was very, very good this year. Almost 83 points per game, just over 72 opponent points per game. Both better stats than Kentucky had on the season. Kentucky also 5-9 against top 25 opponents. And Santa Clara, I think, has an argument to not be a top 25 team, but like a team that is competing and was competing for a top spot in the WCC. Like this was kind of a surprise team. This is their chance to really prove it and show that they were supposed to be there. So I'm going to take Santa Clara here, 10 seed over the 7.
That's great. I told you I got a lot of like Elite 8. I might have Santa Clara going to the Final 4 in one of my brackets. I just think this is a team that talent-wise, they obviously are famous for having one of the G League guys that came back to play for them. They are really long and tall. They are a very big team. They can shoot the ball. They can rebound the hell out of the ball. They can dominate you with their size. They play really good defense. They just have a hard time. I would say their guard play is kind of a weakness, and they kind of have a hard time just putting it together night to night. But I do think this is a team, like game to game, they are going to play every team super hard. I would not be, again, if they made the Elite Eight, I would not be like, what happened? I would be like, oh, they kind of figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I expect some, not big things from Santa Clara, but at least like a very, very good game against Kentucky, and then we'll see what can happen in that second round if they end up winning that one.
I love that upset, and a little SEC disrespect. That's great. That's 2 for 1, baby.
That's what we do. Last and certainly not least, Iowa State versus Tennessee State. Not going to get too much into this one, but Iowa State is very, very good. Defensively, they're awesome. Their guard play is really good. They kind of can do everything on the court really well. So I've got Iowa State winning this one pretty handily.
That's great. Yep, I'm not going to argue with you with any of those. This is what the brave men do. They pick the 1s and the 2s in the first round, and then they get fun.
Yep. It's all you, buddy.
All right. Yeah, that concludes round of 64. We are moving into the round of 32, moving back up to the East bracket. We got Duke TCU. I have Duke advancing. I think they're very good. I think all the refs are on their side, and I've got plans for them later. So I'm taking Duke over TCU.
You got plans for Duke, this guy. Don't let this guy near Cameron Boozer.
Oh, I got plans. Don't leave me alone with those twins. Carlos Boozer. Okay, next up we got St. John's, Kansas, in what many people are anticipating to be one of the best second-round games. Lot of talent on the floor. Love the Johnnies, but they hurt me too bad last year, and I really kind of believe in Kansas behind Darren Peterson. I am taking the Jayhawks.
I can get behind that. I think St. John's is everybody's kind of like, oh, they have to make it this far or make it far this year because of last year's kind of disappointment. And listen, Kansas is really good. Like if they have Darren Peterson on the court the entire game, if he plays those 15 minutes versus Cal Baptist and then is like, hey, I can play for 35 today. Like there's a world where Kansas wins this one by 15 points. Like I could see a really good game. Also, St. John's just does not shoot the ball well. And yeah, like I said, believe in this Kansas team. It's a good matchup.
100%. All right, moving on. I would love to pick USF over Michigan State to get a little bit interesting, but I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the point guard for Michigan State? I'm blanking on it right now.
Jeremy Fears Jr.
Thank you very much. God, you're good.
I've got the information pulled out. Every time we talk about a matchup, I pull up the matchup.
I'm just staring at the bracket, filling it out. I'm putting in silly names for all your picks. I'm going to send it to you after you get a laugh. But he actually has an argument with the Arkansas guy between who is the most dominant college guard right now. I think Fears is such a dog.
Yeah.
Really, really good player. Guard plays huge. I'm taking him.
Yeah. Also, just under 10 assists per game. Like this is a guy who's really good at scoring and sharing the ball. Like a really solid player.
100%. All right. Last matchup in the East in the round of 32, we got UCLA, UConn, and here's my chance to really fly. Little
chance to
Big
fly.
Ten love for UCLA. A little disrespect to that asshole down in UConn. God, why can't I think of his name?
Bobby Hurley? Danny Hurley?
Thank you. Dan Hurley. Yeah, Dan Hurley. God, so annoying, the Hurley brothers. I'm glad Arizona State's not in the tournament. Can't wait to see Hurley freak out when Bilodeau hits 8 threes on them in the second round. We're due a Hurley meltdown. And again, dude, I just think UCLA is a team, they don't play great defense, but what they do is score. And when they played the Zags, it was very apparent. It's like, oh, God, we're going to have to score a lot tonight. Because even with our good defense, we just can't really slow UCLA down that much. I think what they've kind of unlocked with Bilodeau going down, with that injury, they kind of had to learn how to just play a lot more through their guards. And they found a lot of success with that. I think he's going to be very additive coming back. Give me UCLA.
Yeah, I like this. UConn, again, out of the Big East. Not a lot of hype around that conference this year. I think UConn is
tough year for the Big East.
A little overseeded here, and I think there's a world where they get taken out in that early matchup. I can respect that. All right, moving to the West is what I have next. Yes, we have Arizona versus Utah State, and listen, guys, Arizona. We've talked about them. They're so good. Their guard play is just kind of immaculate, and there's a reason they're number 1 seed. They beat Florida earlier this year. They've already beat UConn by. I guess I thought that was 16. That's 4. They creamed Alabama early on, 96-75. Just a really solid year. Like they've only lost 2 games. So I've got Arizona winning this one. Utah State going to put up a good fight, but they're only going to win 1 game there.
Love it. Love Arizona.
Next one, we've got High Point versus Arkansas, and this is my Cinderella story. High Point, 30-4 on the year. Terry Anderson Jr. scoring 16 points per game. Rob Martin, 15.3. Darius Acuff Jr. going to get slowed down. It's 2 games over the course of 3 days. They're going to have to play a lot, and I don't know that putting all the load on one guy in Darius Acuff Jr. is going to be the way to do it. I think you have to have a couple guys who can score, and I believe in High Point. I've got the 12 seed moving on to the Sweet 16.
You dog. I love it.
It's what I do, man. It's what I do. All right, next up, BYU versus Gonzaga. This is all John's been waiting for. He wants me to talk about this game. That's why he actually sped through the whatever that division was, the East. He sped through the East because he wanted me to talk about BYU Gonzaga. And this is the matchup of good defense versus one of the most pure scorers probably in all of college basketball right now, in AJ Dubanta. He's a 3-level scorer. He can do everything really well. How is Gonzaga going to stop him? And I just think if Braden Huff is playing, which there's a question of if that's going to happen, but if Braden Huff is playing, I do think that Gonzaga has a real shot to win this game. The BYU Cougars without Richie Saunders, their second leading scorer, and also the other guy who I'm forgetting who got injured pretty early on in the season. They've just dealt with a lot this year, and if Debanza is able to lift them over BYU, I wouldn't be shocked. But I do have, to lift them over Gonzaga, I wouldn't be shocked. But I do have Gonzaga beating BYU here.
You're gonna make me blush, man. They're a good team. What we really saw, I think, in the WCC tournament is that if their young guards can play, if you get good play out of Mario Saint-Supéré, and especially if Davis Fogel can bring his offensive game, they're a whole different team.
Yeah.
It really takes a ton of stress off EK. Does not seem like Braden Huff is going to be back, at least not for the early rounds of this tournament. So anything you can do to take stress off EK and open up the offense is good. The guards are cooking. Who knows what they can do?
Yeah, I think it's a question of, defensively how, if they had Anton Watson, I think Debanza would actually have a really tough game. But unfortunately, you're going to have to make do with the other newer defenders of this Gonzaga team. So we'll see how it goes. But I just like the consistent offense for Gonzaga a little bit more than BYU. So moving to Miami versus Purdue, I think this is where Miami's season comes to an end. As all tournaments go, only one team can end on a win. And I think Purdue's going to move on here. They're going to ride the hot streak. Braden Smith, a guy who has been here before and will be very good in this tournament. Guard play, like we've said. I think a lot of good guard play is what's important here. So I have Purdue moving on.
Totally reasonable. Guard play is important. As much as Braden Smith drives me crazy, he's kind of honestly the Drew Timme of guards. And yes, I am just saying that because they're both white. But it's a pretty good comparison. Not Ohio. Miami is going to run into a real buzzsaw there.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the South. We've got Florida against Iowa. Iowa's good. They're a good team. Good Big Ten play. I do think this is where their luck runs out. A lot of people like Florida this year. Coming back, trying to repeat as champions. I do like them advancing. Their number will be called, but just not yet.
Yeah, Bennett Sturts, I think, will get slowed down against Florida. Florida's length is pretty nasty.
Yeah. Moving on. Gosh, I'm going to be pretty chalk here, I think. But we got McNeese going up against Nebraska. I really like McNeese. This is a case where if I didn't like Nebraska so much, I would probably advance them just for the fun of it. But I have plans for Nebraska. A bit of a teaser there. And I am going to have them advance over McNeese.
Plans for Nebraska. That's safe. McNeese did lose to Santa Clara. We did tout them pretty highly. Nebraska winning that one. I like it.
I am flying through these. It's because I don't have as much analysis as Tyler, so I can't vamp.
It's okay. We've also talked about each team to some extent in the first round, so they've all had their shot.
Yeah. So moving on to Nebraska's clone, another Midwest darling that can huck up points. That is Illinois going up against VCU. Sorry to the Commonwealth, but I am taking the Illini. Strong representation from the Big Ten for me. I have Illinois advancing.
Yeah, Illinois. Stojakovic is super, super good. I think Illinois is honestly an underrated 3 seed. I have them in a couple of different brackets going to the Final Four and even the championship game in some of them. So I think very highly of Illinois. I've got a coworker who went to that school, and he is very, very keen on them playing at least into the Elite Eight this year, and there's a reason for that. They're an amazing offense and just good enough defense. It's a lot of European players, too, so I think it's going to be interesting getting all those names pronounced by these NCAA tournament announcers.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. My heart, again, is really just telling me that Houston's going to win this game against the St. Mary's Gales. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a chance because you have Gonzaga advancing to the Sweet 16. And, part of me believes you're going to make the right choice and have Santa Clara advancing to the Sweet 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a chance, and I'm going to pick the St. Mary's Gales over the Houston Cougars in a game that nobody outside of Northern California is picking. I'm going to do that with the hope that in their last season in the WCC for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, the WCC sends 3 representatives to the Sweet 16.
Tell you what, Houston has lost to Tennessee this year. They've lost to Texas Tech this year. They lost to Iowa State, Arizona, and Kansas. Arizona twice, actually. They can lose. Houston is not infallible. They're not the 32-1 team that we saw a couple years back. St. Mary's moving on is not inconceivable. I'll take it.
And you know what? This is a great, nobody believes in St. Mary's.
No.
Maybe the Illinois game's first. Houston's watching that, and they're already thinking about the next one. They're thinking about Illinois, and they're caught napping against this Gales team.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, moving into the Midwest portion of the bracket, we've got Michigan versus St. Louis in the round of 32, moving to the Sweet 16. And as much as I love Robbie Avila, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's a just under 13 points per game scorer with 4.5 rebounds and 4 assists. He's a fun player, but if Michigan is even remotely healthier than they are now, if they are able to rest some of these guys, Michigan, I believe, will move on and get the win there. Michigan's just too good. They're so potent offensively, and their length is gonna be the thing that prevents Robbie Avila from really doing anything else.
Beautiful. I can't argue with it. Again, it speaks to how good this Michigan team is that they could be down potentially 2 of their 5 best guys, and we just can't seem to find the matchup for them to lose. So I can't argue.
Yeah. In Texas Tech versus Alabama, this is a matchup of 2 pretty evenly matched teams, all things considered. 2 guys scoring just about 21 or just under 22 points per game, I guess, in JT Toppin and Philon Jr. And then their secondary scorer, one of these teams has lost them in Alabama. So I am going to take Texas Tech here just because they do have that secondary scorer in Christian Anderson scoring just under 19 points per game. Texas Tech, a little questionable on the year, and people are not as keen on them. But listen, if we're going to not have the SEC move on at all into the Sweet 16, we have to prevent Alabama from getting there. So this is our shot.
Well done. I appreciate that. This is where we stop the SEC in their tracks after any early progress that they've made. Yeah. Again, that first round, I think Alabama's going to sneak by. But after that, this is a 9-loss team that has lost one of their best players. They are going to run headfirst into the wall at some point. The question's when.
Yep. Next matchup, I just said that about the SEC, but we've talked about how bad Virginia is and just how kind of irrelevant they have been all year. And this is where I think Tennessee has a chance to get hot after that first game and maybe move on, get a little bit going here. I do have Tennessee beating Virginia in that one, just because, like we said, Virginia, not the like no high tier talent. Tennessee has a couple guys, you're looking at Nate Ament as a ESPN, potential NBA lottery pick. Like there's a lot of good players on Tennessee. They've beat a lot of good teams over the course of this year. I have them moving on.
Yeah, you know what? The one thing I'll say is I think part of the reason we're ragging so hard on the SEC is because they get so much representation. I also hate the ACC. I'm going to be completely honest, especially with, Duke playing their cookie-ass schedule every year and getting 3 losses, and people think that makes them good. It's not. The ACC sucks, and I think Virginia's record is a big symptom of that. We just have less ACC slander to give out because I had Clemson losing in the first round. You had SMU losing to Miami, Ohio. There's just not a lot of ACC teams in here. So as much as I hate the SEC, we can combine forces to take down this cheap-ass 3-seed Virginia.
I love it. Okay, and last and certainly not least, we have the 10-seed Santa Clara versus the 2-seed Iowa State. You said that I was going to do the right thing and pick Santa Clara against Iowa State, and as much as I would love to do that, Milan Momcilovic on Iowa State is very, very good, just over 17 points per game, pure scorer, basically doesn't really do anything else besides a couple of rebounds a game, but this Iowa State team is just, they're so good. I really think there's a chance that they make it to the Final Four and maybe even advance to the championship, like just talent-wise. If Michigan's not fully healthy, I think Iowa State has a really good shot at winning this bracket, and everything else is kind of like fallen into place for them to be really good this year. We've got Iowa State moving on.
Breaking my heart, man. You're breaking my heart, but I completely understand. This is why I had to give you the Midwest, because I think there's a chance I would have none of these Sweet 16 teams that you have. There's a good chance these are the right ones. So I had to take my hands off the wheel on this one, and a sad day for the WCC, but we'll take what we can get.
Yep.
All right. Great work. We are cruising now. This is going to start picking up in a real way. We are on to the Sweet 16 games. Starting out in the East, we've got Duke versus Kansas. This is going to be the first 1 seed to go down. I am taking Kansas over Duke. This is arguably, honestly, maybe even a lock for the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. I guess the bounce is good enough at the end of the year, especially BYU has a tournament run that he could make a case, but it's really been kind of the Boozer. I just said his name. What's the guard on Kansas?
Darren Peterson.
Thank you, Darren Peterson. It's been the Boozer Peterson conversation all year. Duke has also played in a lot of close games where they pull it out at the end because of their great clutch ability and because of the whistles. And I do think this is going to be the unstoppable force of Duke whistles coming up against the immovable object of Bill Self whining to the refs. And they're going to cancel each other out. And without the ref whistle, I do think Kansas has a real chance to knock off the 1 seed.
It's so interesting. So many people are just not in on Kansas this year, and I kind of love that there's just kind of like a sneaky, like, hey, maybe Darren Peterson's just been holding out. Like maybe he just doesn't want to play in non-intense games, and maybe he can just turn it on at any given time, and this could be the time where he's like, hey, St. John's, I could beat any of these guys one-on-one. Just give me the ball. And then it's like, hey, Duke, I could beat any of these guys. Let me just, like, me versus Cameron Boozer, I am the number one pick for a reason. Like, pick me. I'm the best player in the entirety of college basketball. Like, let me take this challenge on. I like that in terms of Kansas beating Duke. Like, not a lot of people have that at all. I haven't even really thought about Kansas advancing this far, but I've kind of talked myself into it through what we've just said.
Totally, 100%. I do. This guy, Darren Peterson, was the most highly touted guard prospect since Kyrie Irving, and is also just like more. He's like 6'4" and big. He's an unbelievable 3-point shooter. He can just score at every single level. He is so good, and the only issue is he's been like unavailable. He's dealt with some injuries. He's dealt with some like, is he trying stuff? But even with that being said, Kansas, 10 losses, but in one of the hardest conferences in basketball in the Big 12. If everything clicks, man, and you put it behind it, again, I actually don't have anything against Bill Self. I think he's a great coach. It's in a really strong program with a great supporting cast. To be able to pick a 4 seed easily to the Elite Eight in my mind. We'll talk about what they could potentially do further. It's a great for me because people think I'm cool picking a 4 seed this far, but I'm not. I'm picking the best guard this age anybody's ever seen, and I get to feel good about it.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, last up, we got Michigan State, UCLA, and are you going to talk me out of UCLA? I mean, Fears is a monster, but part of me just wants to keep this party going one more stop.
I don't think I can talk you out of anything here. Bilodeau is going to be nice. Donovan Dent is like a guy who can score 20 points a game at any given time. Like, I think UCLA has a real shot at winning this game. So if you think that there's a shot there, it's all you, brother.
You know what? I am taking it. These are two teams that are familiar, Big Ten opponents. Michigan State, you know what I'll say their downside has been is that they seem to have struggled to win in the biggest moments. I think they lost both games they played to Michigan. They did not advance very far in the Big Ten tournament. I think this is a team that kind of hits their head on their own ceiling sometimes. I think they're well coached, but I think sometimes they just reach their extent. UCLA also played in the Big Ten and had four more losses than Michigan State. I think this is way closer than most people think, and people are going to call me a nut job, and that makes me excited.
UCLA has just what they did was they limited the amount of travel that they had to do with regards to the move to the Big Ten meant that a lot of teams had to fly across the country for a lot of these matchups, and UCLA really limited that. So people are like, them having to fly for these matchups is going to be crazy. But it's like they're already there. They've been there for the last few days. They've been training. Like it's very different from having to fly on a Wednesday to get to your game on a Thursday and then go back to school. Like they are locked in for these matchups, and that's kind of why people I think are underrating UCLA here. I like the pick. I'm gonna be honest.
Sweet.
All right, moving into the West, we have Arizona versus our darling Cinderella High Point at the only double-digit seed making it to the Sweet 16, and this is where the double-digit seed run ends. Arizona is so good. It's kind of crazy, and you'll see why I have Arizona winning as well later, but I think just overall Arizona is probably the best team in the entire Western side of the bracket.
Yeah, again, with the injuries to Michigan, I think Arizona is the best team in college basketball. I will not argue any time you say that they win. If you have them advancing to the championship game, I'll probably think we should make them the champion. I just think they're so complete. Tommy Lloyd, hell of a coach.
Yep. And in the 3-2 matchup, Gonzaga versus Purdue, it is a rematch of, was that last year, the Zach Edey debacle, or was that 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Because we lost to Houston last year.
Gotcha. Yeah, the Zach Edey debacle coming back into play, and I am going to have Gonzaga winning this game. Listen, if there is one thing that I believe in this Gonzaga team, it is that they want revenge. And I think this is the time to get it. Purdue, Braden Smith is kind of their only real top player. Fletcher Loyer is like a 3-and-D guy, but there's really not much that Purdue can do besides run white guy Purdue basketball. And Gonzaga just has a few layers to their game that I think Purdue doesn't have when it comes to post scoring, which is kind of crazy to say that Purdue doesn't have as much post scoring as another team. But Gonzaga is the one team that's been able to match up against them. Graham Ike wants revenge for that game. It is time to give it to him. I've got Gonzaga moving on.
This would be our Super Bowl. For this team that has been flawed to advance to the Elite Eight over Purdue and exercise that demon, beating a Big Ten team that's been very touted. I think they were the preseason #1 team in the country, Purdue.
Yeah.
That would be immensely gratifying. Everything past that point would be found money. I do think, for what it's worth, if we make it that far, we match up pretty well with Purdue.
I agree. That's low-key why I have him. I know I spoke highly of guard play, but Gonzaga, Saint Supri's been pretty good this year. I think he's a consistent guard. He's not going to be the guy who shoots, scores 18 points randomly off threes in a game, but he's a guy who will get the ball to his guys and run the offense perfectly. It's not like Purdue's got a huge guard play anyways. It's kind of Braden Smith doing the same thing.
For sure. All right. Well, you know what? Moving on to the South, we got Florida, Nebraska. I was going to be really fun, but I'm looking at my Elite Eight, and so far I have Kansas and UCLA. I think I got to pull back on the clutch a little bit, especially because I guess I already have the Gales upsetting Houston, so my 2 seed's gone. I have to have a single 1 or 2 seed in my Elite Eight, or I'm a complete maniac. Do you want to talk me out of it? Do you want to talk me into putting Nebraska into the Elite Eight?
I don't. Not at all. Nebraska is questionable, but them getting their first 2 NCAA tournament wins in this would be just found money for them. I think they're all so nervous they're going to lose to Troy. Like, getting to this point, they'd be so happy.
They would be incredibly happy. And it would be just the perfect spot for them to beat Troy and McNeese and have everybody be like, oh, it doesn't really matter. They lost to Florida, and just like disregard them. People would love that shit. So,
yep.
Hate to do it, but I am going to have Florida advance over Nebraska. Go Huskers. Moving on to the other matchup, we got Illinois against the St. Mary Gales. The Gales pulled out a miracle in the last round. They are not going to do it twice. Illinois is too good offensively. I do not think the Gales have what it takes to keep up. I have the Illini advancing.
I 100% agree. The Illini are so good. I think it's crazy how little they get talked about when it comes to like a team that can win the whole thing. Like, as a 3 seed, they're a team that can really, they're pretty dang good. And they haven't gotten as much respect. I think they were a top 8 team for most of the season, and then had a couple losses there late, kind of sporadically. So they have real potential to win the whole thing. And so I like the Florida-Illinois matchup there in the Elite Eight. All right, moving into the Sweet 16 for the Midwest. We've got Michigan, the #1 seed, versus Texas Tech. And this is a tough one because Michigan, if they're still dealing with injuries, I think Texas Tech has a real shot to kind of overtake them. If I'm just looking at these 2 teams and I'm saying, hey, these are complete teams. These are complete rosters. Who do I think is going to win this one? Michigan defensively is just so stout. I think Michigan is so good. And yes, I do have my 2 1 seeds making it to the Elite Eight, but sometimes you have to go chalk. Like, that is how the bracket is built. It's made for the 1 seed to have the easiest path. And yes, Michigan could be dealing with injuries to get to this point, but I think they still get to this point, even with Lindenberg on restricted minutes and anything else that they're dealing with.
You're breaking my heart. I should have had Nebraska. I need to balance out all this chalk on your side of the bracket. But to your point, this is typically how it works out. So I'm not gonna throw too much of a fit.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go even more chalk. Tennessee versus Iowa State. This is our second to last SEC team still in the bracket, and luckily for us, Iowa State, Big 12. I think they can take them out. I think that we can get to the Elite Eight with 1 SEC team remaining. Iowa State making it this far, I think they're kind of the discounted #2 seed. I think everybody's really keen on Houston, really keen on UConn and Purdue. I think Purdue and Iowa State are kind of in the same boat, but Iowa State is just so good defensively, offensively. Their guards are super consistent, and this is the kind of point where I think their guards could get hot and carry them for a game or 2 through the kind of later rounds. I got Iowa State moving on.
Wow, that is a good pick. Again, if you would have had Santa Clara upsetting them, we could have had a funner conversation at this point in the round. But here we are with our Elite Eight. You picked the 1 seed Arizona, 3 seed Gonzaga, 1 seed Michigan, 2 seed Iowa State. I'm a little braver with 1 seed Florida, 3 seed Illinois, 4 seed Kansas, 7 seed UCLA. So clearly I'm the superior man. But 4 or 8 good teams. I like the 8 we ended up with. I don't have anything against any of these teams.
Yep, I'm in agreement.
All right, moving on to the final stage.
You ready to
Champions
talk
of each
through them?
region.
Should we talk through these
Yeah.
games a little bit and kind of make an executive decision as a group?
Sure. Yeah, tie goes to the runner, but we can talk it out if there are strong feelings.
Yeah.
Kansas UCLA, offensive juggernaut in UCLA running up against a pretty balanced Kansas team. My first instinct is to put Darren Peterson forward. That UCLA's run has to stop somewhere. Where does that train stop? Want to talk me out of it?
No, I don't. I think if you're going to have Kansas going this far, you have Darren Peterson on a generational run, and it's the kind of run in a tournament that he's going to if he does that, he's going to be like the player of the tournament and cement himself as the number one pick. This is a game where he does that against a very, very good UCLA team. They're going to score a lot of points, but I think if you have Kansas going this far, you have to have them going further. Kansas winning.
I think that's exactly right. It'll be more interesting in the next round talking about it, but yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound. If they're beating Duke, how can you have them lose into UCLA?
Yeah.
Yeah, well said.
All right, in the 1-3 matchup, Arizona versus Gonzaga. This is why I got here. This is the Mark Few versus Tommy Lloyd matchup. It is master versus apprentice. And in this one, I do have apprentice moving on. I hate to do it. I hate to not have Gonzaga getting to the Final Four, but Arizona is, in terms of their guard play, they're just more explosive guards. Like, their guards are just so good. Gonzaga will struggle on the rebounding side of the ball, I would say. Just Ike is not a huge guy. Like, he's a consistent scorer, but Arizona is so big down low. Like, they're probably going to be able to get their buckets, but I just think the game might go a little faster than Gonzaga will be ready for, and Arizona's scoring would just outlast. I think it's finally time Arizona would move on.
Yeah, I got to say, great to be here. Those who know ball, when they looked at these regions, one of the most anticipated potential chains was Gonzaga-Purdue into Gonzaga-Arizona. Those who know just knew those were going to be two really fun to talk about and potentially really good matchups. Yeah, I'm glad we have them upsetting Purdue. That would be very gratifying. Anything past that would be found money. I do think this is where we run into the wall. I think Arizona's too good. I don't think I would have let you pick the Zags if you wanted to. I think I would have tried to put my foot down. This is just the spot where I really hope, if we get this far, that we don't lose by 60. It would be very tough. I love Tommy Lloyd. I'm glad he's doing well over there, but I would love it if Bradley hit a game winner against us like he did in the Big 12 tournament. I could sleep with my head held high. But if they just smack us around like a cat playing with a ball, that'd be tough to come back from.
Yeah, a little bit. But I like where we're at. I like where we're at right now.
All right, moving on to the South, we got Florida against the Illini. The SEC is gasping for air, and I want to put the dagger in the heart. It took everything in me not to have Nebraska outlasting them, and Illinois is just the better Nebraska. I think it's revenge of the Big Ten.
I agree, man. I think Florida is a little bit not overrated. They're a really good team, and as a 1 seed, they're there's a reason they're a 1 seed. But I just think that they're not as good as they've kind of been led on to be. They're just big. Like, they're just big. They're athletic, but they don't have the same Walter Clayton Jr. type scorer that's going to be their clutch guy. I really just like Illinois and their kind of sound fundamental gameplay. They are going to be able to shoot the ball well. They'll rebound. They're big. They're going to play defense. Like, I think everything that Illinois does means that they're a really good tournament team, and they're going to be consistent. I really like Illinois moving on as well.
Yeah, and they just have the ability to shoot any team out of the gym.
Yep.
Much like Florida had last year, to be fair. And I do think there's something to be said, too, about this being just a very quiet team of destiny, this Illini group.
Yeah.
Much like the Zags, Illinois is a program that they've been a very good, probably top 10, 15 program in college basketball for the last 10 years. They've just consistently put forward really good basketball teams, and I do not believe they've had a Final Four run.
No.
I'm not sure they've had an Elite Eight run in that time. I think they're a team that's just come up short. They typically win 1 or 2 tournament games and then run into the wall. Could this be the year that this really good Illinois program breaks through? So I like picking them over Florida.
Yeah, they had that Terrence Shannon Jr. year a couple years back that I enjoyed watching them play, and I think they just kind of steadily kind of improved their roster and gotten better as it's gone along. So I like I said, I really like Illinois here. Okay, we've got the chalk region. We've got Michigan versus Iowa State out of the Midwest, and this is going to be the one where I look at it and I say, hey, Michigan, you had a great season. If you are dealing with any sort of injury to this point, now is the time to not have you guys in the Final Four. I think if they got to this point, maybe they're good enough. But I think Iowa State's really dang good, man. I think Iowa State is getting underrated just in terms of like how they're getting talked about, right? Everybody's on the Big 12 because of Arizona and Houston, and Iowa State's kind of fallen by the wayside. They're so good, man. I think there's a real shot that if they get this far, they could beat Michigan for sure.
100%. Yeah, they're another team that had a rough little stretch. I think they might have lost 3 in 5 games or something like that, and that just kind of changed the way people thought about them. They're a really good team. Michigan, I do think, will hit the wall because of injuries. Questions when. I also think if you're going to break my heart and have Santa Clara losing to Iowa State, we have to have them represented in the Final Four. Don't hurt me for no reason. Hurt me for a reason, and this is a good reason.
Yeah. Oh, we got a Final Four of Kansas and Illinois, and then Arizona and Iowa State. A 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 3 seed, and a 4 seed. I love the look of it, John. Let's talk about those two matchups. Kansas versus Illinois. What do you think?
Yeah. I love the 1, 2, 3, 4. Great balance. Nothing idiotic. No 6 seeds in here. Nothing too chalk. I'm providing the balance. You're providing the chalk, but we all have our roles.
You're the chalkboard.
Illinois.
I'm just writing on you. I'm the chalk.
I am the chalk over and over. Give me 100 lines. Kansas, Illinois would be an awesome game. I think this would be a battle of titans. Where I fall down on this one is I think for Kansas to win 4 straight games to get to this point, there will have been a heavy load on Darren Peterson's back. And unfortunately, since he's been load managing,
his back can't handle it.
Yeah, his back is not stress tests for this. I think this may be the game I think this could be a situation where Illinois comes out and punches Kansas in the face, and Darren decides he needs to take a break and drink some Gatorade on the bench or something like that. This is also, I have to say, just a great emotional hedge for my bracket, because I was very brave taking Kansas this far. If I have them making it to the Natty and they lose in the first round to Northern Iowa Cal Baptist, because Darren Peterson doesn't want to suit up, I'd feel like an idiot. So I feel better about Illinois.
I love it. I think, like I said, I had Illinois in the Final Four in a lot of brackets. I have them in the championship in my main bracket, which I guess I can tell you that now. We have submitted our brackets in our other one.
That's great.
Illinois is so good, man. Illinois is so good, man. I really think there's a chance they win it all this year. But for my Final Four matchup on the West and Midwest side, we've got Arizona versus Iowa State. And I'm going to keep going chalk, man. Arizona, I've said it the entire time that we've been doing this thing. Arizona is so good. Their guard play is the best in the nation. I think there's really an argument to be made there. Like, yes, Darren Peterson is very talented, but in terms of guys with experience and guys who can turn it on at any given time, guys who can score the three, shoot the ball well, both these teams have good guards, but Arizona's are just better. They rebound. I think the athleticism of Arizona takes over the Iowa State, Cyclones, and Arizona moves on.
Yeah, Iowa State caught in the Cyclone for sure. I love it. I love this matchup too. I can't argue with it because Illinois, Iowa State, too much similarity in the colors, too many eyes.
We can't deal with that.
Yeah, but Illinois, Arizona, that's a hell of a matchup. Plus, it's all West Side basketball, all West.
It's no blue bloods. It's not Duke. It's not Kansas. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, none of this East Coast elitism. These are true Americans battling this one out. So I like that a lot. All right, man, this is going to be tough. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my case, but I have to let you know going in, I am a straw man. You so much as blow on me, and I'm just going to completely fall over. But I'm gonna be strong and say Illinois, I think, is a team of destiny. I think they're the best offensive team in college basketball. I think Arizona's had a pretty easy route to this point. If Iowa State and Gonzaga were the two hardest teams they've played, Illinois just got through Florida and Kansas. I think, seeding-wise, those may be similar, but I think they're tougher matchups. I think the Illini are tough, and I also think it's just going to be cool to have a 3-seed champion instead of a 1-seed champion. Do so much as put a gust of wind on me and knock me over here.
My gust of wind is that Arizona is 12-2 against top 25 opponents. They've played Houston, they've played Florida, they've played. Let me just pull up their record against some of these teams. They've played
They've
UConn.
beaten everybody.
They beat Alabama. They beat BYU. They beat Iowa State twice already this season. That's actually, I didn't even think about that. But they beat Iowa State 73-57 in the first time they played, and then 82-80 in the second time. So maybe Iowa State might come back in that third matchup. But I think we've gotten to this point. Arizona they beat Houston both times they played this year. They beat Iowa State. Like, these are some of the best teams that we've talked about in this entire tournament. And Illinois, as good as they have been, they did lose to UConn. They lost to Michigan State. They lost to Michigan. Like, there are some flaws in their game. I think Arizona just athletically is more gifted. But if you push back and you said, hey, I think Illinois, like, team of destiny, there's a real shot here, I could like it. But they don't have a story, I think, is the big thing. I think in terms of national media coverage of the NCAA tournament, Arizona would be the they've got a couple top 100 guys when it comes to Braden Burries and Koa Pete. Like, this is the team where it's like, have you seen these two guys on Arizona? If you haven't watched them, these are the athletes. These are the guys that are going to be in the NBA. This is the game where it's like they'll show their stuff. That's why I think Arizona would be one. But if you said team of destiny is Illinois, I could believe it.
I told you, man. I told you. All it took was a gust, and you blew me right over. I would love it if it was the Illini, but Arizona is the team. They've been my team in terms of who I'm most scared of. This would also just be great for the national media. There'd be one officially moving Tommy Lloyd up into that, pantheon of current coaches, one of the great coaches in the sport today, which, he's been playing around with that, with the way Arizona's been playing the last 3 years. They've been monster regular season teams that have yet to make a super deep tournament run. So this would be what it takes for him to be up there. And then obviously just the feeding frenzy of Few's disciple winning it before Few. I think there'd be a lot of mileage out of that one as well. So great for the sport. And, if Arizona was playing Illinois, I'd probably pick Arizona to win. So, hard to argue.
Basketball needs a West Coast champion. They haven't had one in a long time, and
that's another good point. We need a West Coast champion.
Yeah, like UCLA was kind of the blue blood, and it's taken so long that we've kind of lost the UCLA blue bloodedness. And it's really just the West, Arizona's not really a West Coast team, but you just need somebody that's not Duke, that's not Michigan, that's not like these kind of elite programs that have been around for so long in the kind of 2000s. And I think this is the time for them to try and make a comeback. And I think Arizona is the perfect team to do it. So I like that option.
Yeah, man, I really wish. I would be super happy with this, to be completely honest with you. I like Arizona, like them as a program. Like their coach, like their players, would love to keep it out of the likes of Duke's and Kansas's hands. Florida last year I had no problem with either. It's great when the Blue Bloods bleed for us and show them that it's actually red down there. So go Arizona.
Yeah, this is our second time we picked Arizona as a champion. So that being said, make sure you're betting against Arizona in every single game that they play because they're destined to lose now that we've claimed them as our victor.
And Kansas is going to lose to St. John's, and Duke is going to win the Natty. We know these things, but we do this as a fun exercise.
All right, anything else to say before I sign us out? What was a very, very fun breakdown?
No, this is great, man. It is one of my favorite pods of the year, so always a blast.
All right, if you enjoyed this episode of Sound Up Seattle, please feel free to drop a like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff on YouTube, Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We are live there. You can find Sound Up Seattle on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, all at Sound Up Seattle, all lowercase, all one word. You can find me, Tyler, at TyCart50, every word's important. Also, email us your brackets. We would love to see your brackets. Who do you have winning at soundupseattle@gmail.com. You can find John.
Watching so much basketball, my eyes start to bleed.
Yeah, these next 3 weeks are just going to be me staring at my phone while I pretend to work in the office. So that's how it's going to go. Get excited.
Work from home has never felt so good.
All right, with all that being said, I'm going to do it because John is too scared to. It's got to be a Go Zags, baby. Go Zags.
Go Zags, baby. Tournament starting tomorrow, one game at a time. Let's try to climb the mountain, see how high we can get.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm actually going to say? Go Broncos. Go Santa Clara. Go Gales. I want to.
Go